A massive cleanup operation being undertaken by fisherfolk at the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex. A man is dead after shots fired in the Fords Road, Christchurch area. Initial reports to the BHTA suggest a T20 boost in bookings and overall business last month. And in sports, Barbados win the opening Youth Netball World Qualifier against St. Martin.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. It was all hands on deck today as fisherfolk banded together to clean up the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex. Their effort follows a devastating blow to the fishing industry delivered by Hurricane Beryl, which sank at least 20 boats and damaged many more. Rachel Agard was on location and filed this report.
From as early as 7 a.m., a team of about 40 fishermen, boat owners, vendors and hawkers were busy pulling debris out of the water at the Bridgetown Fisheries Complex. Boat owner and fisherman Everton Braffett says they will continue their efforts until every piece of garbage is removed.
The weather ain't going to affect me with this cleanup. This cleanup have to be done. Whether the weather come or not, this have to be done. Because this would be somebody else's problem if we leave this here. So we're trying to lend assistance to get this debris out and stop it from going maybe out through the gate and go down in somebody else's land or something. So we giving the effort here, the fishermen give me the effort to get the cleanup finished as soon as possible.
Another boat owner, Joseph Tony Greenwich, says it's a group effort which is needed more than ever.
Difficult situations breed new strength and it also initiates togetherness. So the guys, now you can really see the effort being put out there as a fisher folk, not only fishermen but hawkers, and what affect all of us, and we need that togetherness spirit to pull through this difficult time.
Fisherman Terry Harper says before lunch they had already cleaned the eastern end of the complex and are working towards the northern end.
We try hard to get this thing, get it over that people can get back up there and work with the farmers. Because right now, I can't do nothing because my work already doing. So I go over here now till then here get cleaned up, dredge out. You got boats to the bottom of the water, which you got to clear before you can even think about getting a boat going through the gate. So right now, everybody put their hands together to get this thing cleaned up. And once it's been rectified and finished, well, we going back to square one. But for right now, everything's a shut down.
Meanwhile, marine surveyor with M&M Marine Inc., Malcolm Thompson, says now is the time to dredge and develop the mooring area to make it deeper.
Over the years, a lot of settlement would have come in here, and this fishing complex has not been dredged for years. And if you could look down there, you'll actually see the bottom of the complex. So you want a little more depth inside here, so there are lots of debris at the bottom of here, old tires that men use for fendering. Once they pop off, they go bottom. So all of that need to clean up now, and now is the right time to do it now that most of the vessels will be out of the water.
All the stakeholders are looking forward to normal business resuming at the complex, and they are hopeful to complete cleanup by the end of the week. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Thank you, Rachel. A local disaster emergency official is stressing the importance of considering not only how homes are constructed, but also where they are built in an effort to minimize the damage caused by severe weather. Program Officer with the Department of Emergency Management, Simon Alines, was a guest on the current affairs program, The People's Business.
I am more concerned about where we build as a people as opposed to how we build. I think that a lot of our housing stock is pretty good in terms of the fact that persons, even in wood houses, they have the hurricane straps. They make sure that they trap down the roofs and so on. And that's important. And even if you have a wood house on a concrete foundation, a base, and so on, that helps a lot.
Okay.
So it's important then to make sure you don't build in flood-prone areas. That's the first thing. The second thing, too, would be to ensure that any of the trees that are around your property don't fall and compromise the roof. Because you have some people that have the large breadfruit trees, the large coconut trees, and sometimes they fall during the hurricane, and they're the objects that cause the damage and undermine the structure.
With over 400 people making use of emergency shelters during the passage of Beryl, Mr. Ali notes Barbadians appear to be taking hurricane preparedness more seriously. He also disclosed that the DEM has received fewer damage reports than with Hurricane Elsa and Tropical Storm Tomas.
Damage assessment really is an ongoing process to some degree, directly after the passage of a major hazard event, in this instance, a hurricane. So the Barbados Statistical Services, they're the ones that take the lead, and you're quite right, they're supported by the DEOs and other volunteers. We had a report of close to 40 houses being damaged, and different degrees of damage. There are some persons who might lose the whole roof. There might be a partial disruption to the roof, where only a side of it. I have received, and the DEM has received some reports for persons requesting some tarpaulin, but it hasn't been excessive.
Several Caribbean countries damaged by Beryl, much worse than Barbados, have been continuing their assessments and response to the hurricane. Among them is St. Vincent and the Grenadines, to which Barbados has been sending humanitarian relief. Some of it arrived last evening, delivered by the Barbados Coast Guard. Crystal Hoyt was there and filed this report.
The Barbados Coast Guard has arrived in St. Vincent and the Grenadines following the passage of Hurricane Beryl. The Leonard Banfield vessel brought with it critical aid, resources and security.
Just arrived here in Union Island to bring some aid to Union Island. We brought some water, some Pampers and some wipes so far. On board we have about 36 persons from the regional security system to assist with the humanitarian disaster relief management here in Union Island after it has been impacted by the Hurricane Beryl, which passed on the 1st of July.
Also on board were additional team members from SEDIMA's CARICOM Disaster Relief Unit, CDRU. Lieutenant Commander Dorian Davis, the director of the CDRU, explained their primary objectives.
Our main purpose here is to be able to bring relief to the persons of Union Island. Our job here is to manage the resources, the aid that is coming to the island, and be able to distribute it along with to the natives of the island to be able to bring some relief to them.
The CDRU team is expected to be deployed for the next 2 weeks. Reporting from Union Island, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Meanwhile, we're hearing the region's agriculture sector is estimated to have suffered tens of millions of dollars in damage as a result of Hurricane Beryl. That's according to a lead head in CARICOM with responsibility for agriculture and food security and the president of Guyana, Dr. Irfan Ali. He says as a consequence, there's been a tremendous setback to the region's goal of reducing its food import bill by 25% by 2025.
Immediate damage to infrastructure and crops and livelihood from the agricultural and fishery sector is in the tens of millions of dollars. Just a desktop initial review. It is important to note that Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Barbados, these were all islands, countries that were on track, mostly, in achieving the 25 by 2025 targets set by themselves.
In other news now, a young father is Barbados' latest homicide victim. Wendy Burt tells us that the killing followed the sound of gunshots disturbing the neighborhood of Fords Road, Christchurch.
What was an afternoon of relaxing in this shed turned into an unexpected moment of gun violence, which eventually claimed the life of a young father believed to be in his mid to late 20s. The Fords Road community has been left in shock after the incident, which resulted in the 25th homicide for the year. Police Inspector Wendley Carter of the Barbados Police Service tells CBC News what details they have of the incident so far.
About 13:30 hours, we received a report of a shooting incident at First Avenue, Fords Road, Clapham, Christchurch. On arrival, we received information that a male victim in his late 20s was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in a private vehicle, suffering gunshot injuries. He was pronounced dead on arrival. The cannot give you name at this moment, but we are continuing investigation in this matter.
Some residents who did not wish to be recorded expressed disbelief about the incident and say they heard about 7 explosions. As police carried out their investigations, they even employed the use of drone technology at the scene. Wendy Burke, CBC News.
Fresh out of the T20 Cricket World Cup, stakeholders in the tourism sector are reporting a boost in bookings and business last month. This from Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Ryan Ford. He tells CBC News that though the association is still evaluating the data for June to get the full picture, several members are reporting increased overall performance when compared with previous years.
We did have a good chunk of members who would have reported that they had increases on top of what their usual Junes would have looked like. And again, I don't have the final data to speak to the numbers right now. I can do that in about a week or two. However, the overall feeling is that there were some improvements and increases on the numbers. There were some who did better than others, obviously, and that goes beyond just hotels. There were some restaurants and bars who got a lot of lively action. I think you would have seen the South Coast would have done well. There were a couple on the east who also did fairly well. I know the West Coast was up and down as well, so you would have to see how that comes out in the reporting. The attractions, they would have also seen some increases as well, and then some better than others.
Mr. Ford's comments came as he and the BHTA's new chairman, Javon Griffith, visited the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation today to participate in a meet and greet session. Trevor Thorpe has that story.
Newly appointed chairman of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, the BHTA, Javon Griffith, at the start of his tour of the CBC, part of his introduction to the media. He is greeted by acting executive producer of the News and Current Affairs Department, Andrew Lowe, before later meeting with CEO Sanka Price and other senior managers. Mr. Griffith is introduced to the newsroom, its editors and reporters, and taken through the news production process. Speaking afterwards, he acknowledges the importance of the media and promises to work with those in the field during his 2-year tenure to take the tourism sector forward.
Improve relations with the media as well, which are quite important because you guys play a significant role in terms of keeping the industry and the general public at large informed of everything which is happening.
Mr. Griffith, who brings a wealth of knowledge to the post with close to 20 years' experience in tourism and hospitality management in Barbados, says he intends to work towards driving increased BHTA membership, as well as advocating for improved relations with government agencies and unions.
In terms of actual goals, the main priority at this stage is to continue with some of the existing programs which we've had in place, ensuring that all of our internal committees are working on various projects as it pertains to safety and security, the environment, marketing projects. We are also looking to continue to build relationships with our members, continue to enhance membership and drive membership with members of the industry who are not yet members of the association. Basically spreading knowledge on what benefits they'll gain by joining the association.
The general manager of Atlantis Historic Inn, he was appointed in June and will serve until June 2026. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Coming up, classes to resume at Wesley Hall Junior School from tomorrow. Teachers and students of Wesley Hall Junior School will be back in the classroom tomorrow, and while education officials are satisfied with the work already done, they say outstanding work will be completed during the 10-week summer break. Principal of the King Street St. Michael's School, Herbert Gittins, says already contractors have completed remedial work, removing moisture in the walls from the 2-story building. Additionally, the ceiling has been changed in the nutrition room with the flooring to be done. Work has started in the Class 4 block, and they're working towards refencing the entire school for improved security. He was speaking following a walkthrough of the compound with education officials, members of the Barbados Union of Teachers, and the Health and Safety Committee.
As you can see, the work has started. We did a walkthrough today, and the Health and Safety Committee is satisfied that at least the ministry is making an effort to rectify these issues. What we have said is that we would give them a chance during the summer when the school is closed to continue the work that has been started here, so that come September that we can have better facilities for teaching and learning to continue.
Deputy Chief Education Officer Glenn Price says they are satisfied with work done to date and gives the assurance they'll ensure outstanding work is completed. Similarly, BUT's President Rudy Lovell says the union is satisfied with the response from the ministry after issues were raised by the teachers.
We have a 10-week period for which they can do some more work, and we are hopeful that that work will continue, having started over the last week or so. As Mr. Giddens would have said just now, work was done, and the Health and Safety Committee at this point in time is satisfied, and the union is satisfied with what was done.
As you may recall, about 2 weeks ago, teachers reported sick, which created a ripple effect over a number of days, resulting in the eventual closure of the school before government stepped in to remedy the situation. President Emeritus of the Barbados Citizens Band Radio Association, Randy Chandler, is calling on authorities to revisit the law that bans them from operating their CB radios while driving. He notes it's disadvantageous as it limits communications between members and ultimately the service the group can provide to the country.
Government decided to ban cell phones. They included our communications device in the ban of cell phones. So we can no longer drive and talk and enjoy our hobby. We can talk on the cell phone, on the microphone. If we park or something's happening, we have to park, talk on it, and then move off. Unless we are working with the Department of Emergency Management and them at an event, we can use the microphone set. But you're going to tell me then that I can use my microphone when I'm talking with the EM and I'm not going to get in an accident? What happens when I'm not under the EM? We have other activities that we need to provide that communications.
Mr. Chandler was speaking as the BCBRA officially revealed its new mobile unit at a blessing ceremony last evening. He says the vehicle, called Mobile One, will greatly enhance its services, especially at events.
We bought our own vehicle, we can drive it in. It's powered by battery, you'll see that later on. We're trying to get some solar panels so we can charge the batteries, and we can start working, and we don't have to wait for anybody to turn electricity on or to put up a tent. So we are providing that service for the country as well. I want to thank all of those who provided assistance in getting the vehicle to the state that is it. Some that I've known and some unknown because they didn't want themselves mentioned, but for everybody that assisted, I'm grateful to you.
Despite heavy showers and pockets of flooding across the island, the 2024 Scotiabank Junior Monarchs semi-finals was successfully held on Sunday, and the names of the 15 finalists in the Calypso and Soca categories have been announced. We hear more in this Trevor Thorpe report.
Scores braved the lightning, thunder and heavy showers to support the 26 contestants who participated in the 2024 Scotiabank Junior Monarch semi-finals. And following a well-executed show held at the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, the 15 finalists who will be vying for crowns in the Calypso and Soca categories in the matter of 2 weeks were announced. Music officer at the National Cultural Foundation, Aisha Butcher, who is co-producing the competition, says she is pleased with how the event went despite the unfavorable weather conditions.
That was a definite surprise on our end, but we were able to manage it and prepare everyone involved, the patrons that came out, the backstage crew, the contestants, everyone. We were able to manage what that effect was and still deliver a great show this evening.
As the finalists enter preparation mode for the big stage on July 20th, Ms. Butcher is encouraging the public to throw their full support behind the contestants.
Friends, families, schools, community groups, everybody just come on out and support the young people. They're doing amazing things. They're confident, they're brave, they have topics that will interest every single person that is listening. So come out and enjoy and support culture, support the arts, support the youth.
The Scotiabank Junior Monarch competition will be held at the National Botanical Gardens. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power In. Pause is power. And by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Let's get in now to the world of sports as we're joined by the man we call Biggard, Mark Seal. Mark, good evening to you.
Too much information, Pearson. Yes. Too much information. Very good evening. We're going to start with netball, where Barbados crushed St. Martin by 57 goals this afternoon in Guadeloupe. This was in their opening clash of the Netball World Under-21 Youth Cup 2025 qualifier, which will be played in Gibraltar. The Bajan girls were massive 75-18 goal winners after dominating all quarters 25-6, 43-9 and 59-12. Goal shoot, Demaya Walren scored a whopping 63 goals to be named player of the match, while goal attack, Dasani Waith made 12. Barbados will next play Antigua and Barbuda. That game is scheduled for 5 p.m. tomorrow. Now, sticking with netball, Shirley Chisholm and Christchurch girls will meet in the final of this year's National Sports Council's primary school netball competition. Playing in the semi-finals today at Folkestone, Christchurch defeated All Saints, while Shirley Chisholm brushed aside Gordon Walters. CBC's Anmar Goodrich Boyce reports.
First semi-final match, it's Christchurch girls in the pink bibs taking on All Saints. This is the opening goal of the game. Goal shooter Zanaya Ramsey is on target early on. Christchurch girls extended their lead after this play. It was orchestrated by the brilliance of Soraya Bengi Phillips. Just look at this lob pass, magnificent. And the goal attack, Amiri Thompson does the rest. She had 5 goals from 3 attempts. All Saints finally got going with this possession. Quick thinking results in goal shoot. Nyla Maynard converting. Great composure in the end, picture perfect for the cameraman. And look at this movement and athleticism from Phillips again. She was at the heart of all things good for Christchurch girls. And the play ended with Ramsey scoring. She had 6 from 10. All Saints had their moments as well, and this perhaps was one of the best. Accurate passing, and Maynard puts her height to good use before floating the ball into the net. That's marvelous to see. Regardless of the good fight from All Saints, the girls from the south were just too dominant in the west, as the final score was Christchurch girls 9, All Saints 5. Let's move to the second semi-final match now. It's Shirley Chisholm in the orange bibs taking on Gordon Walters. A very organized pattern from Shirley Chisholm here, and it was clear that they meant business. Goal attack, Janae Harvey starts on a good note. Renancia Drake Small, however, opened the account for Golden Waters quickly after. She takes advantage here and gets the shot to go. She registered 3 from 5, but Shirley Chisholm were on a serious mission. Bounce pass to goal shooter Ramaya Wilson, who converts and gets the stamp of approval from umpire Blackman. The match was quickly turning into a lopsided affair. Pass intercepted, and Wilson makes no mistake. Never mind the poker face. Ladies and gentlemen, I was impressed. Gordon Walters were finding it difficult for long periods, and Shirley Chisholm were on top. Wilson, after a second bite of the cherry, gets it to go. She had 9 from 12. The carnage continued as the match got into its final stages. This was the play of the day. Excellent team goal from Shirley Chisholm. Great commitment from Harvey to keep the ball alive and make the shot. She's definitely one for the future. Even her teammates were applauding. Shirley Chisholm had time for one more when Ubrina Knight got this attempt to go right on the whistle, and there were smiles all around as they defeated Gordon Walters 29-5 to set up a final day on Wednesday against Christchurch girls. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Switching to cricket now, the CWI Rising Stars Men Under-19 Championship, initially set to commence on July 2nd, will now begin on July 11th in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The tournament has undergone significant changes due to Hurricane Beryl's passage last week. The updated format will feature 4 rounds of 2-day matches and 5 rounds of 50-over games, and will still conclude on July 31st as initially planned. The Barbados team was scheduled to arrive in St. Vincent today. Batting icon and former Test captain Brian Lara has urged the West Indies to be technical and tactical in order to mitigate the threat of England's batting force in the upcoming 3-match Test series starting at Lord's this week. Warning of the dangers posed by England's aggressive approach with the bat, Lara says it is important for West Indies to stay aggressive in the field and not to fall into the trap of going on the defensive too early.
If you're going to come up against a side that's scoring at 5 and 6 runs and over, and you're just going to score 2.5, 3 runs and over, I mean, that is in itself is asking for trouble. I think most importantly is how the bowlers and the captain handle it in the field, because we have to stay positive, we have to stay aggressive in terms of having attacking feelings, having players in catching position, because the way they bat, England's going to have you pushing players out onto the boundary, which is what they want. You know, you push the deep cover back or the third man back, the deep back could square it back. It creates opportunities for them to get singles. 4 or 5 singles and over is actually great scoring. So we got to be very technical and tactical in terms of how we approach the series.
Now, the West Indies have already suffered one blow to their squad ahead of the series, with veteran seamer Kemar Roach ruled out with a knee injury. It means the Caribbean side have been left a relatively inexperienced attack, with only seamers Jason Holder and Alzari Joseph having played more than 10 tests. However, Lara, who gathered over 11,000 runs from 131 tests, said his concern is more surrounding the inexperienced batting lineup.
I'm not worried too much about the Kemar Roach missing out or the bowling attack. I think the bowling attack is pretty formidable. I think the batting is where the experience is lacking. And they're trying, you know, the batters are trying, but it's the fact that, you know, how much experience have they had in English conditions. So I'm hoping that we can pull through in that department. England is playing a style of cricket that's difficult to beat them coming from behind. You know, we've got to take up front. We've got to get them out cheaply in the first innings to stay in front of the game. If you get behind England, the pace they play the game at is impossible to get back into the game.
In the business report, businesses involved in the Wildy Green Initiative have been given it a thumbs up. The project involves encouraging businesses to do all they can to go green. Funded by the International Labour Organization, it has the blessings of the Ministry of Environment and the Blue and Green Economy, and was executed by the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry under the watchful eye of the chairman of the Wildy Green Initiative, Andy Armstrong. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Mr. Armstrong tells the business report that 29 out of the 82 businesses in Wildy are taking part in the initiative, which uncovered a number of interesting things. Admitting it is work in progress, he adds that Wildy was chosen because of its large concentration of businesses.
The initial plan was to start with Wildy and see if we could do the pulsing of what's happening, but also training, because there was quite a bit of training went on in terms of environmental, social and governance as well, and training on how to be more energy efficient, recycling and so on. So the companies benefited from a lot of training as part of this. But the whole idea is to start with Wildy, which is a small compact area in Barbados. But then if that went well, and it has gone well, you know, to expand to Barbados and then to the wider Caribbean.
Mr. Armstrong notes the initiative has started to bear fruit as some of the businesses have begun implementing changes to their operations consistent with going green.
What was interesting is 24 of the 29 companies in Wildy had already changed out their lights to LEDs. So that, in a way, is one of the first things that everyone can do, and everyone pretty much does. And in fact, there's also now an imperative to do it because Barbados has banned the sale of incandescent bulbs. They've also banned the sale of certain types of fluorescents as well. So there's actually less options for people to use the inefficient light bulbs. But it was really encouraging to see that the majority and a strong majority of companies had already adopted LED lights.
He says the next move is to take the messages to the rank and file, and things are expected to take greater shape by September.
We want to make sure that everyone is aware just take the recycling again, just aware that there's a company in Barbados which will pick up your recycling and your garbage at the same time. And I don't think everyone is aware of that. And as I said, we had 29 companies took part, but there are companies that did not take part that say they want to get involved. So we want to see how many of them we can pull in. So that'll be September, where the intent is to get that going. Again, this also depends on other organizations, but by January next year, the intent is to have another program with a wider focus.
He also says several young people have been trained during the exercise by the Ashley Lashley Foundation, which is one of the partners of the initiative. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Unfair trading practices and getting into non-traditional markets are high on the agenda of West Indies Rum and Spirits Producers Association meeting at the Savannah Hotel tomorrow. Chairman Vaughn Rennick tells us more.
It's one of our first physical meetings since COVID, so I think everybody's excited to see each other. We have some critical issues on the agenda. We're devoting quite a lot of time to looking at our international business. We're going to be meeting with senior officials, ASG Assistant Secretary General McCook from the CARICOM Single Market and Trade Division here in Barbados, talking about how we best penetrate markets that aren't traditional, so looking across at Asia for increased penetration of Caribbean rums.
Man to his word, he's back. Mark Seal with more sports.
Indeed, Pearson. Harrison College continued their strong run in the ongoing NSC Secondary Schools Under-17 basketball competition, claiming a runaway victory over hosts Courage and Parry in their latest game. CBC's Anne-Marie Burke reports.
You couldn't want a game more lopsided than this as the boys from Harrison College in the maroon and gold traveled to the north and steamrolled Courage and Parry on their home court. The college boys, as usual, had an all-hands-on-deck approach, and getting things going was Jelani Marshall off the backboard. The ball is headed back down court. Marshall on the move before he finds Walter Yarborough, who delivers the goods. College also had their defense rock solid. Again, Marshall instrumental with the steal, saves it from going out of court, and the finishing duties is on Isaac Griffith. Easy does it. Griffith would then deliver a big one, first three-pointer of the game, as the college boys were totally in the driver's seat. As at the end of the first 15, they shut out CP to have a 19-0 lead. CP pressed harder in the second quarter, but the college boys continued their route. The steal, the pass, the basket. That was Yarborough again. But remember, I said the boys on the hill showed more fight this toss, and they stepped up the offense and defense. Nice interception, good passing around. Could this be their first basket? And it will be Giovanni Coward. CP has finally come to the party. Here they go again, ensuring all was settled to create the play. And in comes Tyree Snow with the reverse layup. CP looks so much better this quarter, and the plays were finally converting into points. And the Kobe Green gave little showmanship on display. But college were still leaps and bounds ahead. Everyone in business mode. I watch as the lone girl on the court, Manaya Haynes, makes a mess of the defense and posting up 2 of the 7 she scored for her team. And it was Haynes who would deliver the second three-point of the game, getting the pass from Dario Messiah before pulling the trigger at the arc effectively, as college went into the half up 36-10. Shooting up court now, what college did in the third was a total shutout of CP yet again, like in the first. Nailing it just inside the arc is Yarborough. The college boys totally outclassed their opponents, beating them on all plays. Marshall again, the playmaker. As at the third, the Crumpton Street boys were now ahead by 41 points, 51-10. So let's close it out. CP will add a single basket to their total. Nathan Gill takes aim and makes it good. While college, on the other hand, will add 10 to their total. Griffith with 11 of those points. Nassim Thomas making sure he got a 3 to his name, as Harrison College were runaway winners 61-12 over Courage and Parry.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we will see you tomorrow.